wrote in the same name.
Yeah, let's talk.
Does that work?
Because we have so many people, you know. I mean, welcome to the Kechi City Council meeting. It is November 9th, 2023, and it is 7 o'clock. We're going to go ahead and get started. Debbie, could you please call roll?
Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
All right, we have a quorum. If everyone could please stand for the pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will move on to approving tonight's consent agenda. Council, any questions about tonight's consent agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. We approve the consent agenda. Second.
Motion by Brian, second by Matt. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 4-0. Move on to approving tonight's agenda. Council, I would ask that we add a discussion section under new business for two different things. One being capers, and another one being just kind of an election update. Nothing official, just want to discuss it. After that, I would entertain a motion unless Matt has any additions he needs to add.
I do not. I'll make a motion. We approve the agenda as written with the addition of a new section 5 for discussion. Item 1 being capers, item 2 being election update.
Second.
Motion by Brian, second by Todd. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 4-0. Move on to the communication section. Kechi civic groups and committees. Do we have any civic groups and committees? And it looks like we don't. So we'll move on to Kechi good news. Council, any Kechi good news that you'd like to share? Well then, I will say, well, thank you all for coming tonight. And tomorrow is the holiday for Veterans Day. So I want to thank all of our veterans here in Kechi for their amazing service, and sorry, the mic is being weird, and thank them for everything that they have done for our country. What else? Anything else? Staff?
The water tower is getting painted and it's looking much better, and they took down the tarp, so it's how it goes. I like it when it's good. But it is looking better.
Good. Anything else?
Thomas has one.
Thomas?
So I guess they're hoping to have the water tower painted by Thanksgiving. They said once they get it started and primered that it'll take them about a day to do each leg. So they're hoping to have everything done before Thanksgiving so they can get home to their families and be done, which I understand.
Where are they from again?
The group, they're out of Nebraska, but the group that does most of those guys there are from Texas or Alabama.
Oh, okay.
So they're just hired on and travel, painting towers all year long. So they're hoping to get home and get it done before Thanksgiving. They were waiting on AT&T to remove their stuff for a while, so they put them behind. So they're still hoping they can get home before then. So that's one thing. So hopefully we'll see that happen, and the lights will hopefully come before the council in the next week or two following. So.
Yay. Thank you, Thomas, for that.
I will also say that next week, both Debbie and Chris will be going to clerk school, where Chris will be graduating, finishing up her year 4, And Debbie's doing the opposite, and she is just going to the inaugural year. So I'm excited for them to be able to have that training and do that.
That is awesome. Police department, anything really awesome happening for you all?
Yes, so reached out to Wichita Heights High School, their technology and welding programs, and I'm waiting to hear back, but the vice principal sounded very promising on helping us with the Purple Heart project here in Kechi. So stand by on some news there. We're going to have a monument set up here, and the high school take a hand in developing that and doing the art and the production of it. So big learning opportunity for the students there, and as well as an opportunity for us to show our appreciation again on the veterans and those who have earned the Purple Heart.
So what Chief is really referring to is something that I've heard other cities do, and so I asked Chief to look into this for me and be my kind of go-getter on this. So cities around us are becoming Purple Heart cities. Hayesville started it, really kind of has a trend. Sedgwick County, like they came and gave the update, became a Sedgwick County Purple Heart community. So Wichita just became one, I think, this week. So I'm really excited that we're getting closer to being able to become one. So thank you very much for doing that for me. All right, if we have no other Kechi good news, I'll move on to public forum. Do we have any public forum tonight? Cheryl.
Cheryl Hobson, 622 North Shawnee Circle. Question is geared more towards the attorney. So what actions do the residents have to reverse or help get the decision for the 61st and Oliver and intersection project reversed?
That's a complex question. The decision regarding the project is in the purview of the city council, and so that decision has been made. The city council, has its rights as the legislators of the city and the representatives who have been duly elected, and so there's. I would not be able to go through, the potential for referendums or anything like that, and I'm not even certain that the law would provide for such a thing. I don't know the answer off the top of my head. Generally, the citizenry's rights are in the political realm, meaning both.
Okay. So then, I've been talking to several citizens that feel like they were misled with the 1% tax. What would then be the process for the citizens then to try to reverse that? Is it the same
Yes.
as it would be for the project?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any other public forum? All right, move on to old business. We have no old business. We'll move on to new business. Ordinance ordinance 1824-23, stormwater ordinance. Item 1. Is it Matt or Dustin? Okay.
It'll be Dustin eventually. Mayor and council, this ordinance is just kind of a housekeeping thing, able for us to enforce these drainage or BMPs, best management practices for runoff and drainage and other things. We need these manuals and best practices on file to enable us to bring consistency to our enforcement efforts. So I have Dustin here, and he will speak a little more on it.
Hello. All right. So through the MS4 permit that we have to manage stormwater for the city, these manuals will give us points to meet the requirements for that permit through the state. The manuals are recognized statewide in Kansas and Missouri, and managing the MS4 permit allows us to satisfy requirements for the EPA, which the state oversees for them. And if we don't meet the requirements, we can get in a lot of trouble. Stormwater is a big deal. It's one of those silent issues that happen, but it helps prevent flooding. That's why we don't like to see.
I guess I'll ask just a few. I remember when we did, I don't know whether it was the same ordinance or remember we had problems with this years ago, especially with contractors when they were building new properties. This is part of that, is to be accountable to the standards that they're supposed to meet. And I
Yes.
presume there are fines and things that go along with those
Yeah,
findings.
I don't know about fines, but there are enforcement steps that we can take.
Enforcement's probably the better way.
Yeah. And so it's more universal. It's not. We hear a lot of, well, we don't do that in Wichita. Well, you do. And it's one of those things where it's more universal for any contractor to come in, whether it's a remodel or a new building, they're familiar with the BMPs that are within that manual.
Thomas, from your point of view, I remember that was a problem we had before you really took all the steps to get us back in compliance with those
Yeah,
things.
so what Dustin is doing is basically, EPA has changed the way that they stormwater now. With the new MS4 report, it was basically you wrote down what you did. You said that you did these things, not everybody was actually doing them. So that's kind of what we got in trouble for in the past, was because we had contractors that were just kind of throwing stuff wherever they wanted to, kind of willy-nilly out there, just doing whatever. What they have done now is EPA has switched, in the state, has switched to a point system. So what he's talking about is each year, so like if we paint, you get a point for that. If you do that and you continue to do that, you get 2 points the following year, 3 points the following year. So the more stuff that you can implement, the more points that you will get in the long run, which obviously looks better for your city. These manuals that he's talking about for BMPs will also add points to that list too. Our dump days that we have, our street sweeping operations, everything that we do, every little thing we do, the poop bags in the park, for waste, for dog waste, just the can recycling that we do. Every little thing we can do in the city we'll get points for. I know there is a minimum. I'm not sure what that minimum is anymore. I've been out of the game for a little bit on that for stormwater, but these manuals are just another way of getting some points for the city.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, is it just one motion for the one ordinance, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I make a motion we adopt ordinance 1854-23 and authorize the mayor to sign.
Is that the right?
Is that the
number?
1824. I'm sorry, dyslexia there.
I'll second.
1824.
Motion by Matt, second by Brian. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 4-0. Move on to, was that the only thing on that one we needed to discuss? Okay, because there was 3 things, so I want to make sure.
Those, all three of those were contained within the ordinance.
I just wanted to make sure that nobody had any more comments on it. Cool. So we'll move on to section 5, discussion of capers.
So, with the adoption of our budget this year, Cammy had presented $2,500 for non-police employee to have a matching additional retirement in capers 457. We do not have a policy or a procedure to put that into place. So the staff needs to develop one, we need to develop it so that it can be adopted before going into effect on January 1 when the budget goes into effect. Because of that, before we adopt it, we wanted to have a chance to talk with you guys about the direction you would like to go with it. So just to kind of give back history, the police will be going to the KP&F January 1, in which which they will put in 7.15%, and the city will put in 22.86%. The other staff will put in 6%, but the city will only have to put in 8.9% of that, and that's why the additional was. We would like to, with your approval, instead of making it 2,500, to actually up it to 2,600, so that it is evenly divided by the number of payrolls. And we don't have the odd little pennies and stuff hanging out. That difference would be $1,100 over the course of the year for the employees that would be affected, at most. That's the most it could be. We would like to, as we are proposing that it not be a match, mainly because our lower earning employees are hit more greatly to try to get to that level. If we did the 2,600, it would be between 6.9% and 3%. So the employees that earn the least would be most affected by trying to match that amount. Their take-home pay would be reduced by that percent as well. So with that, we were trying to look at ways to not place an unfair burden on those employees. We were also, with that, making sure that we would recommend that the employees are responsible for opening the account. If they want to apply for those matching funds, they have to open the Capers 457 account. It would not be HR's responsibility. They would have to take that on just as they do right now. Right now, we have 5 employees that are participating in the Capers 457. 3 of them are non-police officers. So, and we would also recommend that there is no retro pay. So if they don't have the account set up, say January 1st, and come March, they say, oh, you know what, I really would like to participate in that after all. You start March 1st. You don't get to go back and earn anything that you've missed in that year. But those were some of the directions that we were looking at going, but before we crafted the document, we wanted to get your feedback because we thought there was no reason to craft a document that you guys aren't in support of. And just kind of looking for the direction you would like us to go with crafting that document.
Is the employee contribution portion of Capers voluntary?
No.
No.
Okay, and it's not a number they can adjust,
No.
contribute more or less to, it's
It's-
just a set number
It's
as
set by
a public
statute.
employee? Okay.
Yes, it's set by
The
statute.
number, the percent that the employee puts it and the employer, those are both set by statute.
Thank you.
And refresh my memory on the vesting of that, so the employee has to pay that 6 point whatever percent,
Yes.
but they're not fully vested until.
It depends on what year they enter the Capers system. So there's Capers 1, 2, and 3. I don't believe we have any employees right now in Capers 1, just because of when they would have had to begin. There is 2 of us that are in Capers 2, and the rest are, I take that back, there's 3. Carrie, and then the rest are in Capers Tier 3, which means they have to be vested for 15 years before being able to convert that.
And I believe tier 2 is 10 years.
Yes,
6 years?
it was 8 years.
8 years?
Yeah, I think you're correct. Yeah,
But like I said, we
8,
have
10, and
We
15.
have nobody that's been long enough to be in here before. So, like I said, we're looking for feedback and direction on what you guys recommend, so we can craft it and have it ready to present at the December meeting.
And so my initial thoughts is I don't want to penalize the employees that have, that's not earning as much income. You made a comment about that.
Yeah,
Without seeing the whole list in front of me,
that was,
I was trying to think.
Oh. So we're basically proposing that it is not a match, that, that the employee is responsible for opening the account, and then there's no retro pay. The rest was just kind of backfill.
Now with that
History.
said, employees would not be required to match. However, if they wanted to increase their contribution
they could.
voluntarily, they could.
Yeah. So they're not required to participate, it can't be retro, and then they have the option to match if they want.
Yes, yeah. If they do participate,
If they do.
they can match whatever percentage they want.
Hang on, I got lost there somewhere, 'cause that's why I was asking the question about the, how much they contribute.
Well, that's, okay,
Yeah.
we're talking about papers 457, which is the optional retirement. It's not
So it's
the
two.
papers retirement.
Yeah, so capers is a 8% contribution by statute, correct, Teresa?
Yeah. Well, 6% for the employee, 8.9% for the employer.
Yes, and that's set by statute.
Yes,
The
and that-
employee cannot contribute anymore.
And,
The additional capers program is what we're talking about.
yeah, the
And is that
optional.
what the $2,500
That
balance
was
put in
what
the
the-
budget was for?
Yes,
The 457, which
457.
is electable by the employees.
yes.
Okay, so that's where my head was going, originally on this is whether we make it a match or not. The entire purpose of the match is to encourage and motivate people to invest in their own, and the more they invest, the more we'll invest. So I think that's at least merit for a match as opposed to just a contribution.
And
Just,
and the reason that we were saying not a match was, like I said, we felt it was an unfair burden on the employee to require them to put in, that extra percentage when we are giving 22% additionally to the police officers. So a 14% differential there, and it would be basically, depending on the employee's pay, obviously, it would reduce that differential to between 11% for the higher, and then a 7 or an 8% for the lower employees. And I just want to, we respect whatever decision,
sure.
because we know how this was put into the budget, and we appreciate it. We just need direction, because it was put in the budget without really consideration of having a policy or procedure in place for how it was gonna be implemented once it was accepted. And so now, like I said, we have no roadmap, so to speak, to go by. So we're looking for a roadmap on what you guys would like us to craft, and that's where we'll go.
I mean, I think as you craft it, making it, in such a way that, and we talked about the pay periods, the dividing it equally, and those types of things, that would be one of my preferences, is to make it manageable for the staff.
It would
On the
make it a lot
accounting side.
cleaner on our end.
On the
Yeah.
accounting end, I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
It would make it a lot cleaner
Yeah.
on our end.
cleaner on the accounting side for you guys
Yes.
navigating.
And it's just, I don't mind pennies, but nice round numbers are nice and round.
Yes, they are.
And like I said, in the long run, the overall effect on the budget is not, really a great, big deal.
I think they're now looking for the matching section.
Yeah.
What is everyone's thoughts on that? Sorry, I missed that.
No. And it doesn't have to be a decision, 100%, we're just, like I said, looking for.
Yeah, we're just looking for kind of a consensus of the direction to go, so.
I know I'm in favor of non-matching, but
I think I would like to see both and see what it amounts to.
I hate to see it burden on the
I just-
employees, but I'm,
So when you say you wanna see both,
both for us.
Yeah, what,
You wanna see
a
two
match and a
documents,
non-matching.
For even
Yes.
just an example or something that kind of gives us an idea of what it means if we do matching and non-matching.
Sure, yeah.
Is that,
The only difference between matching and non-matching would be the requirement for the employee to contribute the matching amount.
and that's, okay.
and we can't, I mean, I can tell you, right now, what dollar amounts that would mean for the current employees that are contributing, but I can't project that into the future, mainly because I don't know who would contribute and how much. We have not taken a survey of the staff to say, hey, if we did this, how much would you, how many dollars would you do? I will say that, so I can, like I said, I don't know, I can tell you right off the top of my head, based on the employees that we have participating right now, the non-police personnel, on 2 employees, they are already meeting that, so they would be matched fully. We have another employee that is contributing that would make, or, I'm sorry, I've changed payrolls recently, and somebody else, I forgot that somebody else added this recently, so we have 4 non-police employees. For one of them, it would mean $25 to the city right now. Would that employee probably increase what they're putting in with the given match? I would think so. The other employee, it would mean the city's paying $75 per payroll. And would they, I do not know what that would do to their matches, but that, so we do have.
So
I didn't think to take a survey.
kind of our thought process was if we don't have the match, at the end of the day, what that employee is gonna take home. And you know, if they're having to contribute an additional $25 because they wanna participate in that program and they have to provide that match, it may reduce their check $25. And people who are on a fixed income, that even though it's $25, that $25 can go to a lot. Yeah. So.
So as you put it together, I'd like to see to where it's not a burden on the employees as much as possible. Of course, with different things, you would say something?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, that would be
I think that for me is
the
one of the biggest things,
non-match.
just not to have a burden on the employees.
Yeah, and that would be the non-match direction. But what we'll do is we'll give you some figures both ways, just so you can look at it, so you can see what it would, you know, maybe.
Ultimately, they're responsible for the future financial planning.
Yes, they are.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
And coincidentally, when they retire, they won't be a burden. I'm just.
And the fact that this is additional.
Right.
Yeah.
This is additional. We are already providing, they're
We're already
already
providing.
contributing under the original capers.
Right.
This is additional contribution.
Right.
So they could opt that the city contribute
Yeah.
that portion, but they don't contribute
Right.
to that additional portion, so.
Does that help?
Yep.
All right. Any further discussion on cases? If not, we can move on to the election update. So Matt called the election office and they said the soonest that we would know official things would be official totals would be the 16th. So I just kind of wanted to get that update and if Matt has any other
Yeah.
comments.
That's correct. So they take all the votes from election night. Of course, the first results you saw were the write-in, and then as they come in from the different locations, they add those in, and after that, then they count the write-ins. It's my understanding they have the write-ins done, and now they have to wait until the 16th to count the provisional ballots. So once they complete the provisional ballots, which they said usually takes a day or two, then they issue the official results. So that's kind of where we are. We just are kind of on hold until the 16th.
Just wanted to get that update, so everybody heard it from us.
And I have had questions about the election and the results. The city is completely 100% removed from those. We have nothing to do with the election. That is the election of commissioner's office, and we have nothing to do with their timelines or anything like that. So we are just waiting to see like everyone else.
Lucky you.
Lucky these people.
Exactly. Well, guess what? To Teresa found my gavel, and I am so excited. I'm not gonna lie.
Before we adjourn.
Yes.
So going back to the stormwater ordinance, the agenda had 1824, in the packet, it said 1854, so that we don't have to come back and correct that.
I think it was just, are you talking on the summary sheet?
I see what you're saying, yeah. What is the correct ordinance number on that?
1 second. But hey, I got my gavel. That's all that really matters.
Where was it?
It was in the vault.
It's a relic, so it needed to be in the vault, you know?
Do you have it?
Well, I don't, the form ordinance in the ordinance that's in the packet said 2-4. You're right, the agenda said 5-4, but I didn't put that in
Yeah, okay.
the
I just
official
didn't want
holders
us
of
to
the
come
numbers
back
do,
and
so
have to
she needs to go take a look at what it actually needs to be, yeah.
Just to say this one.
1824 is the correct number.
Okay.
So we
that's-
did say
And that's
it
what
right.
we voted on, so.
Yeah.
Yes,
So where's
Okay.
the second one?
it's in the agenda report.
Oh, the summary, okay. I was like, I just got the agenda, and I was like, this is
Yeah.
hard. Okay,
I was reading from the packet,
okay,
that's where I got it.
yeah.
Just wanna make sure we didn't have to come back and redo it.
Yeah, we were just seeing if y'all read stuff. Good job.
All right, well, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Why's everybody looking?
It's your last time to do it, Brian.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
I'm giving it to Kendra. Motion by Brian, second by Kendra. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.